Back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. The nature of the NFL is anytime your team loses a close game, you can pick apart 85 different decisions. You can blame every coach on the staff. You can always blame the quarterback. You can blame the officials. I thought there was one play that cost the Vikings a victory in Kansas City. I'm going to throw that at John Krawczynski and see what he thinks. This is the Viking Update Show, part of the TalkNorth.com podcast network. Thank you to Brandon Morton, our producer, and please follow us at Talk North Pod on Twitter. We might have some future announcements for you there. And also thank you to our sponsors, Twill and the Dining Galleria, Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent who works out of Champlin, and BiteSquad.com. The promo code is Talk North. So I thought, John, watching the game, this is the rare Vikings road game I didn't cover. Chip has family and going to KU, so he took the trip down there. I sat at home and watched football, and it was actually a great day to sit around and watch football.
Absolutely.
And I thought that the 91-yard touchdown run, simple handoff right up the middle, I thought that was the game because you're a defensive team. You still identify yourself as a defensive team. You have them pinned. You're playing a backup quarterback. Listen, Tyreek Hill burned the Vikings, but he burns a lot of good teams, a lot of good defenses, a lot of good players. You let them go with a simple handoff, and instead of forcing a turnover, instead of forcing a punt and being in field goal range, you give up a touchdown. That's like at least a 10-point swing. I thought that was the game.
I agree with you 100%. Yes, Cousins is taking his arrows because he wasn't particularly sharp. I think Stefanski is probably getting beat up a little bit for some of the play calling. The offensive line, big problem. And so a lot of it we're looked at as the offense. But look, this is a team that is built on its defense, that has poured a ton of resources into that side of the ball, that takes great pride in being a shutdown type of a unit. And they had a solid day, but that is where you had the chance to put your boot on their throat, is you backed them all the way up, and Matt Moore, and how are they going to do this? And then 91 yards. Like, this defense is not supposed to give up those types of plays. And this defense knows that Kirk Cousins is up and down. This defense knows that, hey, you go on the road, you score 23 points.
Yeah.
That's not bad, especially in Arrowhead, hostile environment, all those things. Like, that should, you can argue, should be enough, especially against a team without Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
So, I think that big play was enough. And then, at the end, there's a bad punt. They make a great defensive play right away. Then they give up 2 passes to put them into field goal range again. Like, this defense should not be above scrutiny for some of those things. Like, you can't just only beat up on the offense and nothing else. It just that's an unfair way to look at this thing.
I agree with you, and I thought the other interesting aspect is Zimmer starts complaining about play calling again, even though he has his handpicked guys running the offense. He's already getting rid of 2 other offensive coordinators. It's easy to rip the play calling early in the game because it didn't work, but I think I see what Stefanski was doing. You're facing a defense that has been embarrassed on the ground, that is geared up to stop Dalvin Cook. It's probably game plan for it all week. So you start off with bootlegs and play action passes. And you know what? I can't rip the play caller when the passes are open and Cousins doesn't complete them. He had Thielen open. They had some kind of miscommunication. Maybe Thielen was worried about his hamstring. Who knows? Cousins overthrew a bunch of other receivers. He had Diggs open deep on one play and didn't throw it to him. If Cousins hits those passes, then you get first downs, and then you can run the ball against a defense that is starting to, split its attention between the run and the pass. I don't have any problem with that play call.
Yeah, and then he also missed the deep ball to Diggs that he dove for and missed too. Yeah. So they missed some opportunities, no doubt. Cousins was not sharp. The other part of that, Jim, is that yes, this Kansas City defense has been terrible against the run. They were not terrible yesterday.
No.
They were stout up the middle. They were getting push up the middle. I mean, Dalvin Cook was getting met in the backfield fairly regularly. And so that day against that offensive line to get whatever it was, like that was not the same Kansas City defense that got shredded by Aaron Jones last week. They came in amped up and were ready to roll. And so I thought that there were plays to be made in the passing game. And I see why Kevin did it. And yeah, I mean, Kirk was not sharp. And so what was he, 19 of 38 or something like that?
Yeah.
And you need more accuracy from your guy down the field, and it probably would have been a much different outcome if the execution was better rather than the play calling.
So the question, and this is sounding on a theme now, the question is Cousins the guy you should be worried about, or should we worry about how this defense is going to play in big games? And let's get to that after we thank Twill and the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com, Twill Edina on Instagram, where it's a great place to check out their stuff with all the beautiful photos. They are a Peter Millar Crown Shop. I'm wearing a Johnny O shirt right now. I basically more than half the stuff I wear now is from Twill. It's just comfortable, everyday stuff that will last and wear a long time. I'm here with my wife, Stacy. We went to Twill in the Edina Galleria the other day. We saw Scott Dayton, and I bought the nicest sport jacket I've ever owned, the most comfortable pants I've ever owned. They're Brax. A nice pair of loafers that I can wear to the ballpark. I think they're called Tracks. And I bought a bunch of Stenstrom short sleeve shirts to go with my Stenstrom nice dress shirts. And, I used to wear just disposable clothes. Now when I buy something, I buy it at Twill. I know it's going to last me the rest of my life, and it's going to be comfortable.
And on top of that, it's not just the best stuff you've ever had, but it's really everyday things that you can wear and that will fit all occasions.
Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com, Twill on Instagram. Because this is a team that invested so many draft picks in defense and had great finds in defense, like Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffin, and has, they have stars at every level, which is what every NFL team wants. They've invested heavily financially. They brought back Anthony Barr at the last minute, invested heavily in him. They invested in Eric Kendricks, who's a heck of a player. They have defensive line depth. They have cornerback depth, which hardly anybody has. They have a great safety. They have a good safety playing next to him now. This team, to me, should be more dominant on defense than it has been. And it does at home against an overwhelmed opponent. They jump on people right away and they pound them in submission. That's great. But it's not the same team on the road. And we've seen this before. Remember, when I came to town to cover the Vikings in 1990, and that was, Keith Millard and Chris Dolman and Henry Thomas, a great defensive front. Joey Browner, one of the great safeties in the history of the league. Scott Studwell, Carl Lee. It was a great defense. And you know what? They'd go on the road and on grass, and they wouldn't look the same.
Yeah. Yeah. They have put up good numbers for sure. But it does sometimes seem like they're too dependent on what the offense does. If the offense is hitting on all cylinders early and gets out to a big lead, now the defense has them right where they want them, and boom, you're in for a long day. But a lot of times it feels like the defense has a trouble dictating the terms of engagement. And okay, our offense is sputtering right now. Clamps are on. We're gonna lock this thing down. You're not getting anywhere because we are controlling this whole situation. And it's harder to do that in today's NFL than maybe it even was in the 90s. But still, like it has not been one that has just completely overwhelmed opponents and totally won games for them. Now, they did it for stretches at Green Bay, but also was terrible at the start of Green Bay. They've had some other moments throughout this, and against Carson Wentz, they were really good. But yeah, we haven't seen a lot of this defense just coming in, sinking its teeth into an offense and not letting go. And I think that was the case again. Now, Kansas City is a really good offense. They are explosive. Tyreek Hill, even with Matt Moore has put up some points with that team, even as the backup quarterback. And so maybe you say, hey, is 26 on the road? Is that good enough? I don't know. I don't think you should expect your offense to go in and score 28 points to win a game. Like, I don't know that is, if you have a really good defense, I don't think you should have to score that many points to win on the road. I think 24 should be enough.
Yeah, if they make all their kicks yesterday, they have 24.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, really good defenses, championship level defenses, will make plays to win games too. Not just limit points, but they will get the big turnover. They will score once in a while. They will set up the easy score. And that's been happening. And I still go back to, when they really had a chance. They had the Saints down at home, and their defense got shredded in the second half. And they needed the miracle to advance, and then they got shredded by Nick Foles and an Eagles team that hasn't looked the same since. Listen, whatever magic happened, they shredded the Vikings and they went and shredded the Patriots. There was something there. I'm not saying the Vikings got beat by a bad offense.
Right.
I'm saying they got beat by an offense that was just really good at that moment, and the Vikings weren't up to it. But there's something missing there, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and I don't know either, Jim. I mean, Xavier Rhodes and Trey Waynes have struggled lately in coverage. I mean, I thought Harrison Smith looked a step slow.
He did
yesterday,
and that's why I go back to that grass thing. It's amazing how teams that get accustomed to the speed of turf sometimes look completely different on their. I mean, there's a long stretch where good Viking teams, in the '90s, were horrible on grass, and we still see the Vikings go down to Chicago and look like they're playing on sand.
Yeah, and you look at at end of the game, Weatherly makes the big play and drops the offense back and say, okay, that's the play that a winning defense makes. But then, bang, bang, two passes, and that is all completely wiped out. And so instead of using that first play as a springboard to really enforce your will and make a huge game-saving type of a drive play in an adverse situation, no doubt, they gave up two quick passes and right back, and it was a chip shot for Butker to win the game. So I don't think in that moment when they first took the snap on first down, you should expect the defense to shut them out on that drive. It was going to be hard, but then you made a play to knock them out of field goal range essentially, and then you just totally dropped the ball on the next two downs, and I just think a great defense, the Patriots defense, even though they had a tough game last night against Lamar Jackson, but a defense like that just says, you're not scoring. Like, we're going to take this over. And I don't know that we have seen that this defense do that very often over the last several years, not just this season. Thanks to Tony Hoaglund, Hoaglund, your State Farm agent. He works out of Champlin, ChamplinInsurance.com, or just Google Tony Hoaglund, Hoaglund, State Farm agent, and he'll pop up 763-421-4900. He handles my insurance. He handles Michael Russo's insurance, and open till 6 o'clock every night. Just give him a call and see what he can do for you.
Hi, Talk North listeners. I wanted to let you all know about State Farm's new Quotes for Good program. We partner with local nonprofits to raise money for great causes. The Viking Update Show, I will donate $10 to the Adam Thielen Foundation, benefiting the University of Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital. When you call in, be sure to mention the show so that we can track the donations. You can reach us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at ChamplinInsurance.com.
It is fascinating to look at the Vikings schedule in light of what happened on Sunday. Did you notice every team that played this weekend outside of London, the home team won?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I noticed that every NFC North team lost.
Every NFC North team lost. Every home team won in the NFL. And it was going into the weekend, the theme was home field advantage just isn't important anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It was like only 52% of home teams had won this year, and then yesterday all of them do.
Wow, I did not notice that.
But it's fascinating now. You have Dallas. Nobody knows what Dallas is yet. Yeah. Denver, they rallied behind a quarterback who could actually move and run their offense. Seattle, Russell. I don't think he's a really good team, but Russell Wilson.
I don't want to play Russell Wilson.
He's the MVP.
In Seattle. Yeah,
he's the MVP. Then Stafford. Here. The Vikings should win that game, but they don't always beat Stafford here. Then the Chargers, that was starting to look like an easier game. Then they just completely dominated the Packers on Sunday. I don't know if you watched the game. They beat them up physically on both lines, outgained them by about 3-1, shoved it down their throats. It was just a nasty beating. And that'll be a night game in Los Angeles.